Hello, happy and beautiful and blessed Saturn day. It's a beautiful day over here. It's in like the 70s. So I'm definitely gonna go out and do some bird watching today. A day this week, what was it? Tuesday, I believe. I went out. It was a beautiful day as well. Every day is a beautiful day. But Tuesday was like really nice. And I went out to the city and over time it becomes so much more clear to me that the things that I used to enjoy doing, I just really don't enjoy doing anymore. Like that used to just like be like how I used to spend my days, or just like if I wanted to go out like walking, I would go out and I would just go frolicking in the city. And honestly, like I'm just finding that I really don't enjoy being around that much people. I really truly don't. I enjoy my days where I can go walking, where I can like take the time to just like sit down, like, chill, like, do some bird watching and everything in the nature. Get like a nice treat, like a nice what's it, like a nice bubble tea or like a lavender matcha latte. I did get a lavender and a lavender vanilla oat matcha latte iced. I did get that. So today we'd like to go out and do some bird watching or whatever. It's a very beautiful day today. Um, Last night as well too, I was like listening to the radio. There's like a radio in here that I leave to play sometimes and whatnot. And it was just like so very interesting to me, like the host, for because it's her specific like time during the night or whatever, you know was just basically talking about like how, because I know like right now, like with it being April, I know like there's like a lot of like religious like holidays happening and going on, whatever or whatever. And the host or whatever to call, like the radio host or whatever, and that's what they were called, started talking about like how, it's like it's just kind of emphasizing the importance of this time, the time that it is like right now. What else like was she saying? Like she was just like asking people to show their support for God's chosen people. Um, and she was talking about like how, like, the people like in Israel right now, whatever, they're going through it. Like they're in a period of like uncertainty. They have to like live in fear because like of the bombings and all of this stuff. And she's just basically saying like show your support for God's chosen people or whatever. Not she did say God's chosen people, but I don't remember the sentence like word for word for word. But do you know like how much bullshit that actually, in two ways? It's just such a wrong idea to hold in your mind, depending on what kind of religious background you come from, or even like ethnic, whatever the fuck. Whatever, it's so wrong to hold that idea that wherever you come from, that puts you in God's favor. That's like, because then you see how that can like trickle into like, people just being having like, a sense of superiority over other people and everything of this nature, and blindly doing things because they think that they are entitled to, or entitled to having, as we see happening over there. Number two, the other, what else did I find to be just complete bullshit is I listened to that radio, like, like I've listened to that radio station for like years or whatever, right? Not once mentioned what's happening in Palestine. Now that, like, with everything that's happening, like now, stuff. Can I like talk without freaking music in the background? Can I fucking talk without music in the background for once? Now with everything that's like happening, she's like, oh, like, for the people like in Israel, whatever, like, like they're just kind of empathizing with them, a whole bunch of stuff and everything of this nature. And it's like, that's so funny to me because you were silent the entire time. You're silent about everything that's happening in Palestine, but now suddenly Israel's getting like 1% if of what, you know, like Palestinians had to endure. Now keep them in your thoughts, keep them in your prayers. Fucking bullshit, fucking hypocrisy. This is the shit that I cannot stand. She's always preaching about like God's love, spread kindness, spread awareness. But bitch, you're not saying anything. You're not advocating for all the things. You're not advocating for the people who are, suffering at the hands of those who are under some like illusion that they are chosen or whatever, and a whole bunch of bullshit. And it's just like not even about that or whatever. And it's just the fucking hypocrisy and the bullshit. Like, and in general, I never want whatever it is that I do, whatever page, like whatever it is that I fucking do, bitch. And especially as a Gemini, bitch. Okay, I'm gonna say what the fuck I need to say. I don't ever want to be afraid to say the things that I know like need to be said. Oh, because like I might like lose like followers or like like people are getting like silence. I don't give a fuck. Okay, because that's just straight up bullshit. I mean, that's just straight up freaking bullshit. What the fuck is that shit? I cannot imagine being scared to say the things. I refuse to be scared to say the things that need to be said, all for the sake of bullshit. And I don't even think that was like her approach. I just think that she's just sympathizing more with Israel because God's chosen people. I don't even know if she is even Israeli or not. I don't know, but that just like really pissed me off. How she can vocalize and talk about them and call them God chosen. Like, do you know like how much bullshit that is? But I'm not even just saying like them now. Like a whole bunch of denominations, a whole bunch of religions and everything of this nature under the notion that they're chosen and everything of nature. And of course it trickles into the spiritual community as well too, where you hear people calling themselves like chosen ones, a whole bunch of stuff, and it's just so freaking annoying. It's just so annoying. I just that just kind of like pissed me off like last night, like how she was able just to talk about that, but she never once said anything about what's happening in Palestine and beyond and beyond. So that's what really pissed me off. Two, I was on the train yesterday, and if there's one thing I'm always talking about as well too, is just that like nature, earth, so beautiful, so magical, so freaking whimsy, beautiful. The beauty never, her beauty never amazes me. Okay, the beauty never amazes me. Like it's a blessing that I get to hear the cardinals sing. You know what I mean? Like I'm so happy that it's spring. The tree in front of my house is beginning to bloom. I'm excited. I love that. You know what I mean? But yeah, earth, nature is very beautiful, very whimsy. And, you know, and it's just so beautiful, like, as well, too, like, how much you can really see when you allow yourself to be in a meditative state. And I think that sometimes people are perhaps under the notion that to be in a meditative state, you have to be like that or like laying down, but like simply walking can be something meditative. Just sitting down and observing can be something meditative here. Sorry, it's just so loud outside. But what I was saying is that also when like just being out in nature and in this meditative state as well too, like you really get to see how trippy Earth is. Like I said, you can see patterns in the sky, you can see patterns in the trees, in the floor, in anything, in the leaves. You can literally see patterns in everything. And you know, the more like I allow myself to do what I'm doing, all of this nature, like I said, I realize like how trippy and fun it is. And I guess I would say that, and I'm not shunning or I'm not saying not to. Okay, have some freaking fun. But I was gonna say that I think that sometimes people think that to really experience like the trippiness like in the earth and nature and to see all the patterns, I think people are under the notion that you kind of have to be like under some kind of substance or whatever. And I just think that all of the substance really does is just enhance it, to be honest with you, because yeah, like you don't really need to be under a substance to experience like how trippy it is. Like I said, the patterns are all there. It's so beautiful. It's so nice. Oh, it's every time when I want to like record a video, everyone's just so freaking loud outside. But I'm happy that they're laughing. I look like I'm getting a mohawk. It's almost time for a trimmy trim trim. But yeah, that's like what I'm saying here. And I'm not saying as well too to not like it's okay to have some plant medicine and that's fine. I'm not shunning that at all. But I'm just saying as well too. It's those kind of that kind of like mind state or point of views or whatever the hell isn't only accessible through that, I guess is what I'm saying here. And genuinely, like, it really makes me wonder, like, as well too, right? That's why it's just always so important to be balanced, like, within yourself, because what's ever happening internally, like, affects and dictates, like, how you perceive things, right? It dictates how you perceive things. And when things are kind of chaotic internally, but yet you're perceiving things and you're seeing, like, like a whole bunch of patterns, or you're seeing things, like, like when you're seeing things, I guess I can, not I guess, but it just makes me wonder how much people, and I'm not, it just makes me wonder that, like, how much people perhaps are under the notion that perhaps that, like, they are having some kind of mental health issue, when it's not really like a mental health issue at all. It's just, how do I say it? I hope you understand what I'm saying, right? I just reword that once more because, yeah, it just really makes me wonder, how much people are experiencing this, but because what's happening internally is not like balanced and it's chaotic, and now that they're under the notion that, like, they're mentally unstable and perhaps think that they're schizo, what's the word, schizophrenic. I'm sorry, kind of just like left me schizophrenic. But yeah, like, are under the notion that, like, they fall under that category when that really isn't the matter, that really isn't the issue at all. And I'm not saying that's the case for all people, but it just really makes me wonder, right? Because it's so, like, really truly, like, whatever is happening internally really has an impact on how we perceive and view the world, like, around us and everything of that nature. And just, like, not even like just like with that, but perhaps with other, like, mental health, like, issues, everything of this nature. You know what I mean? And I'm not, because I know, like, I know there's some history with that as well too, with placing a lot of indigenous people in institutions, and this can just all be from, naturally, of course, just a lack of understanding and a whole bunch of, like, other stuff, right? But really makes you wonder, really makes me wonder. um, and you know I just feel like, and this is just like my thing or whatever, and to each their own, and I'm not shunning, absolutely the fuck not shunning people, or saying that people shouldn't be on, like, medications to help whatever is going on. I'm absolutely not saying that, absolutely not. But I just sometimes think that maybe going straight to medication sometimes perhaps shouldn't always be the goal, because I just, you know holy fucking shit. Oh my god, what bird is that? Hold on. It went behind a tree. Now I can't see it. Okay. I don't see you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right. Okay, I've got to do that. We've got to proceed what I was up to. I was talking about, but I'm back. I don't know where the birdie went. Went behind a tree, but it was a big bird. But as I was saying, is that, like, like I said, sometimes what's happening mentally as well too isn't, it's just not, I don't think that it's always something that needs to be solved through medication, because I just think that it's just, sometimes I feel like it just requires, like, a different approach, is what I'm saying here. because it's important to get it's important to get to the root of the problem sometimes, because these things don't just come up out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like as well too, like when you're physically not not speaking about like feeling being mentally ill now, but I'm talking about, I guess, being mentally unstable or unwell can I guess labeled as like physically like as a physical illness as well too, I guess. I don't know. But just talking about like other illnesses now as well too, like sometimes um these things like come up on the body or whatever because a lot of repressed things like happening, like a lot of repressed emotions and traumas and all that stuff, and that just kind of it like that stuff takes a toll on your body more than you realize. I'm not saying that's always the case, but like sometimes it is the case. Like when like a lot of things like goes like unresolved, repressed, and a whole bunch of stuff, and it's stored in the body. Think about like the impact that can like have on perhaps like just like certain organs and everything of that nature. You know, and of course, being in living in the West and everything of this nature, the naturally the first thing that they're going to go to is to prescribing you some like medication or everything of that nature. And like I said, that doesn't always have to be the case. It doesn't always really need to be the case at all. You know what I mean? And it like I just think it needs like a much different approach, and especially with some of these medications as well too has like comes from like certain plants and everything of this nature. It's a whole bunch of bullshit. It's a whole bunch of bullshit. You know what I mean? Like because all it is that we everything that we need to be better, to feel better, all it is that we need the earth provides, and it's just ridiculous that like what's the word that they're commoditizing? I'm fucking saying that shit wrong right now, but it's kind of making you have to pay to get better when it comes from the earth for free, a whole bunch of bullshit, everything of this nature. But really, truly, what's happening internally on an emotional, on a spiritual level has an impact on what's happening mentally, physically, all that stuff. And I guess what I'm just saying is sometimes medications and stuff isn't always what needs to be, does it need to be the first thing to go towards, is what I'm saying here. But I'm definitely not saying that there's anything wrong with taking medications. No, like I'm not gonna tell people to do. No, I'm just saying. You know what the fuck I'm saying. You know what the fuck I'm saying. So that's what's like been on my mind, especially the part though with the whole like how when we're not like internally balanced and whatever, and that can just cause a person to perceive things in a sense that makes them think that they're gone when they're actually not gone, but it's just, you know. Let's end this with a card. Just a card. People are so freaking annoying. Like, it's not a highway, like, it's literally a street. The sun stuck out. And the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune's come out. What's coming to mind right now is with the Wheel of Fortune, you see how she has like a blindfold over her eyes, but she's turning the wheel and everything is nature. For this, I would say honestly, what's coming to mind is just to say that you're in so much more control than you realize. of your own fate, of your own destiny. Um, but to realize how much in control you are requires you to take off the blindfold, because with the blindfold as well too, you know what I mean, that can just kind of represent or illuminate all the ways in which we allow perhaps things on an external to dictate uh, the ways the wheel might turn for us, but also like on an internal level as well too, but on a subconscious, shall I say, you know, perhaps like our own like limiting beliefs, fears, everything of this nature, all the ways in which we allow that to dictate where we um, let the wheel go, but you're in so much more control than you realize. Anyway, that's my yep for now.